Stone Sculpture New Jersey is an outdoor installation of large-scale works which will be on our campus for the following 12 months. These wonderful outdoor works will grace our campus.
If you go back 5, 6 years ago, the university was a little bit different than what you see now. And one of the basic hallmarks of an educated individual is to develop an appreciation for the arts. And so we put this exactly where this gallery belongs, and probably the most heavily used building on campus. I'm told that the Starbucks sells about 700 cups of coffee a day. So if 70 students a day sees this, it'll be a terrific thing. When they grow up and when they get a job, when they get their own kids, they will realize that life without the arts, whether it's performing or visual, is kind of empty. And in this university, we have a commitment to that. And I've passed by multiple times where different people have given me the interpretation of the sculpture. And I said, so what do you think? Well, I don't think this is the way it's supposed to be. I said, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. He says, so what did the artist think? And I said, well, the artist probably doesn't know what he thought. Something went through his mind, and that's the purpose of the art. Art is to engage in you and in your mind a sense of wonder and a sense of imagination that you otherwise could not have achieved. And one thing about sculpture has an added beauty to it, that it not only activates the visuals in you, you can actually touch it and feel how it's made. So for all 6 of you, for Ricardo, for Neil, for our Dean of Visual and Performing Arts, Dr. Holly Logue, and the founding dean that I saw, Carol Schaefer-Koros, she was here a few minutes ago. Thank you very much, and enjoy the show, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like Holly Logue to please come up here for a second. Holly is our new dean, acting dean of the School of Visual and Performing Arts. There you go.
Thank you. It is such a delight to be part of this larger artistic community and to be privileged enough to share this room with the artists. I am a theater artist myself, and so when I look at an exhibit like this, some of the things that cross my mind are the characters that are revealed, the stories that are told, the composition, the line, the design. And what I'm seeing when we blend these two-dimensional and three-dimensional mediums is the story that is told about the artists through this wonderful photography. As Neil mentioned earlier, we don't get a mugshot at all. We get a sense of who these people are as human beings. And having the opportunity to see their works as well is extraordinary. And it's such a pleasure, as I said, to be here among you. I look forward to sharing many future experiences with you, and thank you again. I would love to see some of this art become part of a permanent Kean collection.
I've been working with rock ever since I was a child because you're always picking up rocks, and growing up on a farm picking rocks out of fields and stacking rocks up. I was fascinated with what you could do, and rock was an outcome of ceramics, and ceramics is rock in some degree. So you're continually working with one is a removal process, the other is additive. But you're still, when you fire a piece of ceramic, you're actually making a rock. A piece like this, even a simple form, if you whack it with a chisel and take the chunk off, it's not going back on. It's totally subtractive. So you've got to think in terms of flipping yourself inside out, thinking about removing stone, thinking about what's going to be left. Years ago, I used to live in St. Neots, England. It was like out the back door of the thatched roof where you're freezing in this ancient cottage from the 16th century. First thing you see is this sort of Celtic giant thing 17 feet in the air. It was a very old church. Really sort of enjoyed the idea of those vertical stones. and as you move around the world, the milestones and things like that. And as I realized that some of the earliest civil signs that were left along highways were stones. The one thing that I'm impressed by is as you're walking along, it's generally as tall as you are, or it could be even a road marker, and mileposts and things like that all gave you some clue. And that's probably what it's about, is just another way of, hey, this is a clue. You can either be smart enough to pick up on it. One side's carved, the other side's blank. And like a lot of that stuff, if you approach a road sign from the wrong side, it's just a blank sign. So it's kind of a way of telling you that whatever the message is on the front is really about what's happening to the glass on top, too.
I've been working in stone for 10 years, about 10 years, and I discovered that stone material in New York. Actually, I was a painter previously in Japan, and then I pursued a career and I came to New York, and I took a class, and that's it. I fall in love with material. You know, stone is such a special material. I just don't want to touch any other material. Just the stone is a really a good way to communicate with the material and also with myself. When I start chiseling, kind of crushing the surface, but ended up I get really beautiful shape. The process that chiseling and first rough surface and then filing and sanding and then get polished really surface that actually you don't see from outside, but when it gets polished, that actually glows from inside. Just like the textures, the patterns I find in this stone. That's always, any stone I work with always happens. I actually took for 3 years to finish it. And when I started, at first I saw the stone, and actually I've keep seeing it for probably as close as 8 years. And then finally 3 years ago, I decided to purchase this stone because I love it so much. And then at that point, you know, I have a feeling about interior space, that something I want to hug, or this motherhood. I became mother.
I started working with stone when I was about 18 years old in Germany, and I made an apprenticeship there as a stone sculptor, and then also studied architecture. Well, I like stone because it is a natural material. I like the hardness of it, the resistance. I like to work in a reductive way rather than building models. I also like the directness of it. I like the speed or the lack of it. I really enjoy the process of carving the stone. It really allows me to explore what is happening to the form as I'm working it. It's not an instantaneous result. It usually takes many weeks to complete a large-scale work. I'm interested in leaving some of the natural aspect of the stones intact. As you can see, there's a lot of torn natural surfaces, and I sort of have a minimalist approach in a sense, where I only work with certain areas of the stone, and also combine geometric shapes, very simple shapes usually, with some more natural elements in the stone. And then of course I also usually combine the stone with glass, which to me symbolizes light and life. The way I use the glass by stacking it, the way the light reflects in the glass, has almost like a water-like appearance a lot of times. This sculpture is titled Spring, and the title really describes two different things. It's spring, the season. So I see in this piece sort of an uprising and growing movement, but at the same time I'm also thinking about the water spring And one can also see that there is sort of this movement coming out and then getting expanding towards the top. And of course the glass to me always symbolizes water and flowing movement.
I always like to try to make my sculpture have a animal spirit, or the idea that it feels like a person or an animal, but not representational. It doesn't look like anything recognizable, but there's a sense of movement and the feeling that it could be alive. This sculpture is made up of 3 elements of stone, and it is about 20,000 pounds. And part of my work is to challenge myself in building something, and I like tension and compression. And if you look at these 2 elements and think about them standing without the center element, they look like they'd want to fall over. But because the way the stone tapers, it's actually heavier at the bottom, and both pieces actually stand on their own. If they're just standing separately, at this angle, they stand up. They don't fall over. They're not very stable. So in order to put this piece together, this center element has to be blocked up, and then these elements slide in, and you can see the bolts there are 1-inch stainless steel threaded rod which go into anchors in here and hold the piece together. So it's put together the physical weight of this piece, pressing down on the joint here keeps these from falling out. So it's tension and compression and other things going on with weight and balance. When I'm working on my sculpture in my studio, it is very easy to get too attached, and I found that the best way to sneak up on the sculpture, you have to get a fresh view. You have to be able to get a fresh perspective of what you're doing. And for me, something as simple as sweeping the floor. I'm moving around the piece and I just glance up at it, and that's a good way to get an unplanned image. If you're just staring at something, it's hard to step back and see it. So if you sneak up on it, it's a good way to let yourself know where you really are. These marks here are drill marks, where they drill holes in the quarry and use these to split the stone. And I'm basically using what the quarry considers to be scrap. All they want is a rectangular block of stone. So these are cutoffs. They'll take a big block and they'll make a square. That's why these are all angled. So I'm finding a lot of these, they're found objects. So part of my work involves finding the materials. I have my own crane on a truck, so I can drive to the quarry and they let me go in and pick what stone I want. With the wood, if I see a tree in somebody's yard that went over, I can go up to them and say, would you like that tree to go away? And usually they're very happy to have the tree go away. Having the materials is like a palette for a painter, having colors. So for me, my colors are just having different shapes and objects around. So you can imagine what my yard looks like. The sculpture in the courtyard came about, this building that it was for is a LEEDs building, which is an environmentally, you're supposed to have recycled materials and things that are environmentally sound to qualify for the LEEDs program. And they cut down some oak trees to build this building, so I took some of those and incorporated them with other trees that I had.
Working with stone, I like the challenge, is because it's a natural material. It's a mineral. You never know what you get into the stone, you know. And I like the perfect response from the material when you chip, when you sandblast or you carving this material, and give me the maximum satisfaction, you know, to see something so difficult to do, you know, to get shape with my own hands, you know. And when I discovered the third dimension, the sculpture, I said, oh, I need to go more deep with this. And I start a new university for 3 years. I study, I get the degree, I open a new studio, and I get into the sculpture. I try to create something ugly to awaken, you know, something to say, oh, I don't like it, I don't want to see this. What I want to say is maybe in the future we can avoid the same mistakes we did in the past, you know.
The qualities that I like when I work with stone, one is its resistance. Early, when I initially started carving, the stone being dense would resist my impatience. So I would hammer at it and then had to gather my thoughts. And that helped me in acquiring some patience with the material. This particular piece, Phillips Blue Battleship, has 3 cast components, 4 actually. The cast bird, the clown head, which I think of the clown, the fool, the jester, the artist, is the only one who can tell the king the truth and not lose his head. There's a certain social responsibility that goes with the role of the clown in our culture. So I'm constantly playing with that. That's the main component. And then I cast a W, a big W, which you can't see from the front of the piece, but it's in the back. And that was intended to ask a question. Regardless of who comes to this piece, they think, gee, that's playful, that's not kind of nice. What's the W all about? You know, so I just wanted everyone to ask that question. There's no other purpose behind that particular component other than asking what the W is about. And then the Phillips Blue Battleship, there's a phrase, Phillips Blue Battleship, that comes from the little clay boat that I made. And it's a kind of lyrical phrasing, Phillips Blue Battleship, that I believe sounds wonderful. That's the title.